We're going to refresh some thrifted items today. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. Today is the last Thing Thrifted, Spring Edition, with Farmhouse Frugally, Crafting with Indiana Jones, Provincial Farmhouse, Shabby Meets Bling, Repurposed My Way, and Up All Night DIY. Me. Hi. I'm going to update a couple of thrifted items. Let's get into it. So first I have here this Resin Typewriter. It's vintage style, but I'm not a gold girl, and I've been meaning to update this to go more with my decor and never got around to it. So we're going to do that today. This is a nice heavy piece and there's loads of detail to it. So the first thing I did was dust all the crevices with a paintbrush. And then I used a little bit of Dawn dishwashing soap and hot water and just wiped it down really well and made sure it was well dry. And then I took it out back and gave it 2 coats of flat black spray paint. Okay, so here we have it, and the spray paint did a great job of getting into all those little details. All I'm really going to do now is just dry brush it with some metallic paints. I have them right here. This is Folk Art Black Sequins, Folk Art Gunmetal, and Folk Art Brushed Silver. So we'll see what's what. I'm going to start with some gunmetal up here along, there's like a ruler piece across the roller, and I'm going to fill that in, just dry brush it really with the gunmetal. Now, it's not really much to it, you're not seeing much of it, so I'm going to make sure I do a couple layers. And I think to start out, I'm going to just go anywhere where I feel like, it might be metallic and start with this dark gunmetal. Because if I don't like it, I can go over it in black. If it's the bright silver, it might be a little more difficult to cover. So we'll see what's what. But I am coming in here now with the silver, this little piece in the middle. And actually, it's not all that bright. So that's going to need a couple different layers as well. I think I probably did 3 layers on that piece. Here, you can kind of see the difference, I guess. And then we'll do the little tape holders. Again, this is going to take several coats, I'm sure, until I'm happy with it. And as I mentioned, I've had this for a number of years. And, I'd put it out, but I just don't decorate with gold. It's just not my thing. And I kept thinking to myself, I really should take the time out to just make this something I can actually fit into my decor. I really don't know why I waited so long, because when it's finished, I absolutely love it, and I can guarantee that it'll be on display most of the year. Now I'm coming in with the silver, and I'm hitting those arms that have the letters on them. I guess that's what they're called. I don't really know. But I'm going to make those nice and bright with the silver and a couple other, bits and bobs, and then we'll do the keys. Now I'm coming back in with the gunmetal, and I am going to do this little bar section up top, and I'm going to do the space bar because I felt like the silver might be a little too much there, so we'll stick with the gunmetal here. Yeah, and I'm liking this so much better than the gold. Now I'm hitting the arms of the keys with the gunmetal too. A nice contrast to the heads with the, the little head parts that have the letters. Does that make sense? That's right, I did decide to use the gunmetal on the keys first, but I do come back with the brushed silver and go over them. Well, you'll see. I thought this section in the back would do with some gunmetal as well, just for a little contrast up there. Now I'm coming in with that brushed silver, and I'm going to hit all the keys again, and then I'm going to go around the entire thing and just catch the edges with some of that brushed silver. This project was really quick, and, generally when I do stuff like this, I don't bother to film it because I think, well, who wants to watch me just dry brush and, something simple. I'm not really making a whole lot of changes to it, just, refreshing it. I did make sure to dry brush all the details on the side and on the back as well. I looked at some pictures of vintage typewriters and I used my silhouette to cut out the word Royal. That's one of the vintage brands. And I'm just going to fix that right to the faceplate. And I got to tell you guys, this is where the struggle began with the vinyl. Both this project and the last project. Ugh, it was a battle. But eventually, I do get this on. The letter L gave me a hard time. It actually popped off. So I had to, resituate it and position it. Once I got it sorted out, it wasn't so bad. I really like the way it looked. I think it makes a huge difference to the piece itself, and I love the final look. I printed up a little card with Charles Rennie Mackintosh roses and added Welcome Spring. Love it. Let me know what you think. I have here a Galvanized Planner. It's a wall bucket, flat on the back. It actually has a really nice patina as it is, but I thought this could use a nice refresh as well. So I'm going to take out this plastic container in the middle, put that aside, and I'm going to take it out back and spray paint it black. Now, I did wash this as well with some soap and hot water and made sure it was well dried before I spray painted it. Okay, it's all done, and as you can see, I did the handle too. There are some spots at the bottom where the paint, I don't know, it kind of bubbled or something, but I like it. I really like the way it looks because, of course, this is going to be a distressed piece, so that suits me just fine. Now, I didn't spray paint the back because I just felt like the paint might come off on the wall, so I didn't bother. And as we already have some crackling at the bottom there, I figured, you know what? Let's hit this with some folk art crackling medium. Now, I hope this works. This is really, really old. I mean, this is from AC Moore. That's how old it is. I've had varying degrees of success with this, so we'll see. I'm going to apply it really heavily because I want large cracks. So supposedly, when you apply it thick in spots, that's where you'll get the big cracks. And if it's thin, you'll get really tiny cracks. So I'm just going to paint this up wherever I think it should have some crackling, and then we'll let that dry. Now, if you don't have any crackle medium, you can use Elmer School Glue for this. That works too. I didn't have any of that on hand, but I did have the crackle medium. That's like 15 years old. So we'll give that a go. Okay, so now that the crackle medium is dry, it'll get a top coat of folk art chalk paint in Sage Shadow. It's a really pretty vintage green. So I'm just going to make sure that it's really well stirred, and then we'll apply our top coat. Now, they tell you to only go over the crackle medium with one coat, but I'm going to do two. And, we'll hope for the best, right? The thing I like best about this shade of green is that it's very organic, and it can fit in really any season. It works perfectly. It's light, but it has a richness to it. And honestly, I don't think the camera does it any justice. It's really pretty. I'm going to let that first coat dry, and then I'll come back and hit it with a second. I was impatient, so I pulled out my heat gun to dry that first coat. And here I am doing the second, and I can tell you that it is crackling nicely. See? I'm just coming along and wiping the paint off of the rim of the top of the bucket and the bottom. It's just a damp paper towel. Takes the chalk paint right off, leaves the spray paint. And now I'm going to come along with some 230 sandpaper, and especially where the crackle medium is, I want to expose some of the underlying black and give it a very aged appearance. With a very slightly damp cloth, I'll come in and clean off all that sanding dust. I'm going to knock off some of the paint off of that wooden handle too, right? That needs to look aged as well. In Silhouette Studio, I designed this Lavender Farms logo. I used Oracal's 630 vinyl. It's a flat black. And I'm going to start by applying the center, since it's a rounded item. and then just smooth it out from there. Now, I didn't have any problem applying the vinyl to this, only on the typewriter and in our next project. Oy. This went on like a dream. Now, my transfer tape did pull off a little bit of the paint, but you know what? It's a vintage looking piece, so I'm all about that, right? I think it just adds to it. And I gotta tell you, I was holding my breath when I was pulling the tape away from these flowers because I thought for sure they're so tiny that pieces would come off. But nope, they stuck. I had another lavender bundle down here. I mean, look how easy that came off. Awesome. I wish it always worked like that. I'm going to add a wee bit of Jolie black finishing wax to add a little more grunge. You feel me? I start out light because, I want to make sure I don't overdo it. Once I apply the wax, I wipe it back with a soft rag. And I just keep going until I like the way it looks. I felt like the lettering still looked too new, so I'm dry brushing the letters with some of the Sage Shadow paint. Just lightly at first. I get a little heavier as I go. And then I'll wipe that back again, just until my eye's happy with it. I felt that the bottom needed something, so I cut out this 1924 in an oval. Again, this is from the same Oracal 630 vinyl. And I'm just going to apply that right to the bottom. Now, this didn't stick as well as the Lavender Farms bit did, but it wasn't terrible. So I think, a couple of the numbers kind of wanted to pop up. But again, got it done in the end. That's all that matters. I'll distress this too with some of the sage paint, and then I'll hit it with some of the black wax. I'm happy with that, and I'm going to spray it with Clear Matte Sealer. I really felt that this needed a price tag, and I wanted an porcelain enamel tag. Didn't have one, so I made one from clay and a washer. I'll show you real quick how I did it. I didn't think to show you while I was actually making the piece, but it's really super simple. So this is just, a little washer. I punched a hole in the top of it, and I painted the whole washer black. This is like a really thin metal. I just punched a hole with my drill bit right through, no problem. To make the tag, I just rolled out some Model Magic, flattened it. I used a wee jar lid to punch the circle. I wanted to make sure that it would fit perfectly inside that washer, and I let it dry for a couple hours. I painted it with a couple of coats of Ceramcoat Oyster White, and then I pulled out my stamps and added the numbers. I attached the clay to the washer with 3-in-1 glue, making sure that the top of the number lined up with the hole that I punched. And then I just used a piece of wire to punch the hole through the clay. And then I sprayed it with a gloss sealer to give it that enamel look. Now here I have some linen ribbon, just fine little strips. I'm going to attach those to the handle here, just for a little extra something. A little extra vintage embellishment. You feel me? I tied a bundle of lavender together using more of that linen ribbon. Gonna pop it right in there. Add my little price tag. And we're done. I love this. Let me know what you think. Our final project today is this Wood Lazy Susan. A friend of mine gave this to me. She knew I had been wanting one, so she passed it on. There's no finish on this. It's raw wood. I am going to lightly sand it, and I'll wipe it clean, and then we're going to paint it up. I'm using Deco Art oyster shell. It's a medium gray color. They no longer make this chalk paint. Every time I find one I like, they discontinue it. Anyway, it'll get one layer of oyster shell. I want to add some crackling to this. So once again, I'm applying the crackle medium, nice and thick, anywhere I'd like some crackling. I'll add a second coat of white chalk paint, mostly in the center because that's where our lettering is going to go. So I want the lettering to be white. Once again, I used my silhouette to create my design, and I'm going to line it up right here in the center as best I can. I'm eyeballing. If I get math involved, it'll be all screwed up. So now, I'm not going to torture you with this, but I will show you a wee bit of it, how hard it was. For some reason, this vinyl just did not want to stick. So it was a struggle. It really was. See, the letter keeps coming up and it's pulling some of the paint away. That I didn't mind because, again, I wanted this to be distressed. So the paint coming away, that's cool. The letters, nah, I need them to stay. Anyway, I won't torture you with the whole process. I did do this in sections because I thought it would be easier to apply, which I'm glad I did, especially considering how tough it was to get the transfer tape off. Ta-da! There we go. I'm going to come in, I'm going to pounce it over the lettering with Mod Podge to keep the paint from bleeding underneath it. And guess what? My camera shut itself off and did not record me painting the top coat. I mean, you know what it looks like, right? It's just an application of some black chalk paint over top of this whole piece. Right, so now I'm removing the vinyl, which is so satisfying. Don't we all just love to peel away that vinyl and see the letters and the logo exposed? I know I do. Whee! And now we'll pull up that last bit of vinyl. Ah, good stuff. I'm going to come in, lightly sand away the paint around the edges, and then go across the whole surface, lightly sanding. Expose some more of that crackling, and add a bit of distress to the letters. I'll wipe it clean and spray it with clear matte sealer. And she's done. I love the way this turned out. There's a little extra space at the top. I'm not going to stress. I'm digging it. Let me know what you think. Here's a final look at today's projects. I gotta say, this was a nice change of pace from me. These were all really quick and easy projects, and I'm really happy with the way each one turned out. I particularly love the typewriter. Let me know what you think in the comments section if you are so inclined. I'd appreciate it. Please be sure to check out all the ladies on the playlist. I will have each of their channels linked, as well as a link for the playlist in the description box, and of course, a list of my supplies. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.